Yo, what's going on, everybody? Tyler Michael the Cleveland Adolfo the Third here. Hope you are all doing well. Today we're going to react to George Carlin, The Sanctity of Life. You know, I'm a Catholic. I'm not sure how much I agree about the sanctity of life, but I mean, life is pretty dope when we could preserve it wherever possible. That's for damn sure. Let's see what he has in store for us today.
You know, the longer you listen to this abortion debate, the more you hear this phrase, sanctity of life. You've heard that. Sanctity of life. You believe in it? Personally, I think it's a bunch of shit. Well, I mean, life is sacred? Who said so?
God says so.
God? Hey, if you read history, you realize that God is one of the leading causes of death.
Only in those who deserve it.
Has been for thousands of years. Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Christians, all taking turns killing each other because God told them it was a good idea.
To the contrary, it is true, however, that there are those who proclaim to follow the word but actually do not. The weaponization of an ideology or religion, it makes no difference. Evil men do evil things, indeed. But the Bible I read teaches love, acceptance, tolerance, peace. War is done by evil men of their own free will and accord.
The sword of God, the blood of the Lamb, vengeance is mine.
Amen.
Millions of dead motherfuckers. Millions of dead motherfuckers, all because they gave the wrong answer to the God question. You believe in God? No. Dead. You believe in God?
Oh, it's the context of it. You have to look at that as well. There are many moments where people proclaiming to be followers of God did extremely violent things in the name of God, but they clearly weren't followers of God. That's why I would make the argument, and I have since a very young age, that the indigenous populations of North America were more Christian in terms of practice and the way they lived their lives and the values they practiced than the so-called colonists, which colonized them and saw them as a bunch of savages to be extinguished. And there's plenty of examples of this throughout history.
Yes. You believe in my God? No. Dead. My God has a bigger dick than your God. Thousands of years, and all the best wars, too. The bloodiest, most brutal wars fought, all based on religious hatred, which is
False.
fine with me. Hey, anytime a bunch of holy people want to kill each other, I'm a happy guy. But don't be giving me...
There have certainly been big wars on religious freedom, like the Crusades. The Knights Templar get painted as a radical Christian terrorist organization, which is quite interesting considering that they were 90% non-militant. They had a commerce area that was huge, invented the modern banking system, were made up of Catholics, Christians, Jews, Muslims, even agnostics, people who were, pretending to be atheists. Atheism has always been extremely highly overrated, and the degree of people who are truly atheists is actually almost zero. The type of people who would insist on being atheists, that everything came out of nothing, that there is no form of higher power whatsoever, are not even true atheists, because atheism is that there is no higher power, which is just fundamentally false. You could go to any time period in history, but that's the first one that came to my particular mind as far as a religious-based one, but it had to do with religious freedom, not with religious supremacy.
All this shit about the sanctity of life. I mean, even if there were such a thing, I don't think it's something you can blame on God. Now, you know where the sanctity of life came from? We made it up. You know why? Because we're alive. Self-interest. Living people have a strong interest in promoting the idea that somehow life is sacred. You don't see Abbott and Costello running around talking about this shit, do you? We're not hearing a whole lot from Mussolini on the subject. What's the latest from JFK? Not a goddamn thing. Because JFK, Mussolini, and Abbott and Costello are fucking dead. They're fucking dead. And dead people give less than a shit about the sanctity of life. Only living people care about it, so the whole...
Well, in the case of JFK, he gets eternal salvation. Can't speak for Mussolini or anyone else, but, JFK was a God-fearing Christian man who believed in higher power. He was also the most popular president in American history, particularly for his time period as well, which was unheard of during his time period, where you had more divisive partisans than anything else. He truly was an exceptional president by every measure.
whole thing grows out of a completely biased point of view. It's a self-serving, man-made bullshit story. It's one of these things we tell ourselves so we'll feel noble. Life is sacred. Makes you feel noble. Well, let me ask you this. If everything that ever lived is dead, and everything alive is going to die, where does the sacred part come in? I'm having trouble with that. Because, I mean, even with this stuff we preach about the sanctity of life, we don't practice it. We don't practice it. Look at what we kill. Mosquitoes and flies, because they're pests. Lions and tigers, because it's fun. Chickens and pigs, because we're hungry. Pheasants and quail, because it's fun. And we're hungry.
And that's true. If you look at any type of predator-prey population in history and why 27 species go extinct a day, you'll quickly understand why that is the case. You'll quickly understand why it is that so many veterans commit suicide. You'll quickly understand why it is that our water is becoming less and less safe. You'll quickly understand why it is that we continue to have more and more wars, even though we know nobody benefits except those at the highest places of power. So why is it that these things keep happening? It's because ignorant mob mentality allows them to happen every single time. People are quick to project blame on leaders, but leaders are simply a reflection of the desires of the population. Whereas, the most traumatized type of viewers of this type of content would be hardcore atheists who believe their vote doesn't count. It is a correct statement that your vote doesn't count if you're the type of person who believes that your vote doesn't count, because your one vote isn't going to accomplish much in the grand scheme of things. But in terms of bringing together the kind of Congress that would help negotiate the type of desires that we the people want, it is absolutely possible. And that's where I strongly disagree, not with George Carlin, George Carlin, the individual, who did believe in all the things that I'm talking about, but George Carlin, the performer, who did capitalize off of stereotypes and genuine beliefs of the American people of his time. He's been gone for some time now. If he was alive today, there's no telling where he would stand, what he would say. But it's important to remember that he was a human like everyone else, and he also evolved and changed. And you could see that evolution through his stand-up, from his early stand-up to the later career stand-up before he passed. And I believe it was 08, 09, around there. Seeing him alive today would truly be something special. He had a gift that no one else had. And I know he would be criticizing everybody. He would not be in any one corner. He was a true, more than a comedian, but an artist, a philosopher, everything.
And people, we kill people because they're pests. And it's fun. And you might have noticed something else. The sanctity of life doesn't seem to apply to cancer cells, does it? You rarely see a bumper sticker that says, "Save the tumors." Or "I break for advanced melanoma." Viruses, mold, mildew, maggots, fungus, weeds, E. coli, bacteria, the crabs. Nothing sacred about those things. So at best, the sanctity of life is kind of a selective thing. We get to choose which forms of life we feel are sacred, and we get to kill the rest. Pretty neat deal, huh? You know how we got it? We made the whole fucking thing up!
Alright guys, that was George Carlin on the Sanctity of Life. Hope you enjoyed watching. My name is Tyler Adolfo, your neighborhood resident Catholic. If there are any other videos you'd like me to react to, make sure you let me know. I got you, no worries. But you gotta let me know, that's the only way. Peace out. Like, comment, subscribe.